Welcome, beautiful Paris Saint-Germain family. As you've seen by the thumbnail and the title, we are not in a great spot at Paris Saint-Germain. I've been reading out every single report so we can understand the entire situation. But first, we'll read out two reports that have been dropping. One dropped pretty much 2 months ago, and the other one dropped 1 month ago. Lucho's game plans are starting to irritate many players. Last year, Kylian didn't really apply the instructions imposed by the coach, so the players had more freedom on the pitch. On the other hand, this season, he's uncompromising about who he expects from the players, and this in each position, and several players in the squad feel restricted. For example, he asks very specific things from the offensive player, which leaves less room for their freedom. If the instructions are not respected, the players are directly reprimanded, whether in the locker room or during video work. For example, he doesn't want to see the attackers take depth, so we have offensive players who are used against the register. However, several players in the squad believe that the team is much more dangerous when the game plan is not respected and the attackers gain depth and have freedom. The problem? Lucho doesn't want to have a transition game and absolutely wants a possession game no matter the opponent. The fact of not seeing the attackers take the depth is also due to this instruction from Lucho precisely. So, what we can take away from this report is that many PSG players are irritated by how Luis Enrique wants us to play. He wants us to have a lot of the ball and, not be direct. The players want to be more direct. They also feel that they're too restricted this season, especially compared to last season where they had a little bit more freedom because Kylian Mbappe was there, and now they feel basically as slaves. The players, especially the attacks, are showing more and more reluctance towards Luis Enrique's game plan. The team's play is categorized sterile and predictable by the various members of the squad. The coach was a little too strict with some of his playing ideas, such as not using a number 9. So here, even more detailed description of the complaint, calling PSG and Luis Enrique's playstyle as sterile and predictable, something that we as PSG fans often say. But now let's come to the big report that dropped today. Ousmane Dembele's relationship with Luis Enrique is increasingly tense and strained. Luis Enrique remains extremely furious about Dembele getting a red card versus Bayern and his attitude. Luis Enrique is now fed up with what he views his actions worthy of an experienced player from Dembele. Meanwhile, Dembele still hasn't understood why he was dropped from the squad against Arsenal. He doesn't understand why he was the only one punished while the other players who have been late this season face no punishments. This perceived double standard has not sat well with Dembele. Privately, in recent months, Dembele has also expressed confusion about Luis Enrique's tactical approach. He feels the team's style of play is overly rigid and predictable. A well-informed source from the locker room says, "I think Luis Enrique has lost Dembele." Furthermore, Randal Kurmani not paying at all has raised further questions within the locker room. So, this report basically just, saying that Dembele is one of those players extremely unhappy, and the only PSG player that obviously went to Lucho and critiqued about the play style. And what did Luis Enrique do? He banned him from the squad versus Arsenal, which is still affecting Ousmane Dembele. Shouldn't still be affecting him, but is still affecting him. And once again, the same words are being used. In the previous one, it was sterile and predictable. This report, they call it predictable and overly rigid. So this is a problem that not Ousmane Dembele, but a lot of PSG players have when it comes to Luis Enrique's play style and how we've been playing this season. And we will try to figure out who are the players that support Lucho's play style, who are the players that don't really care, are like in between, and who are the players that are anti-Luis Enrique. But before we do that, let's take a look at another report about another player complaining at Lucho. Presnel Kimpembe is now reportedly frustrated in private by his situation. He was extremely surprised to know that he wouldn't be in the squad to face Nantes when he was present in the squad versus Bayern. Several internal sources described Kimpembe as particularly tense in recent hours. He has reportedly voiced his frustration to certain people. As they say, he clearly did not understand his absence from the squad. He expressed his frustration to several members of the club about this situation. He wondered how he could be in the group on Tuesday versus Bayern and now on Sunday versus Nantes, when nothing happened between the two games. He's always accepted the decisions of the sports management, especially the coach. However, the lack of consistency in the decisions just a few days apart is incomprehensible to him. Kimpembe explains he feels perfectly fit and ready to play. For several weeks, the club doctors and members of the performance department have always explained to Kimpembe they was ready to return to competition, but Luis Enrique has yet to give the green light for his return. This mixed message has left Kimpembe confused. In internal source, he's trying to understand why it's happening. He wonders where the problem comes from. Why I'm reading this report? First of all, Kimpembe, unlike Dembele, I do not agree with. You have just not been in one squad and you're complaining, and he's saying he's been fit for a few weeks. Like Kimpembe, you've been out for over 2 years and you've had a bunch of relapses. So everyone just wants to make sure that when you eventually get back on the pitch, you don't go off it again. So I don't understand why Kimpembe has this negative perception because he wasn't in the squad versus Nantes. But Kimpembe is obviously another anti-Lucho in the PSG squad. So we're here at the PSG anti and for Lucho tier list. We have unhappy, NA, basically in between, and supportive. Obviously, we'll start with putting Kimpembe and Ousmane Dembele, two of the biggest personalities in the locker room, unhappy with Luis Enrique. So, obviously, one of the reports mentioned attackers, and I do think Bradley Barcola, especially with his performances this season, I definitely could see Bradley Barcola being unhappy with Luis Enrique's playstyle. 100%, especially when it comes to the freedom and so on. Next up, I don't think Skriniar has a good image of Lucho. I don't think it's about the playstyle. I strictly think it's because of the minutes he's gotten this season. And obviously just, his situation at Paris Saint-Germain so far. I do think Warren Zaire-Emery is another one that's having problems with Luis Enrique. Luis Enrique is basically using Warren Zaire-Emery as an off-the-ball player, and we saw his performance versus Bayern, then he was benched in the non-game. So I do think Warren, he's in between NA and unhappy. I'm a bit unsure, but I'll put him here for the meantime being. Let's say for someone that's supportive, I think Achraf Hakimi is very supportive of Luis Enrique. The best version of Achraf Hakimi has been as long as Luis Enrique has been the manager. So I think Hakimi is supportive of playstyle, especially Luis Enrique, bringing the best out of Achraf Hakimi. Next up, we'll take Safanov. I think Safanov is supportive. I don't know, once again, I don't know about how Safanov feels about the playstyle, but because he just joined PSG, joined as a backup, and now has gotten the minutes and so on, I do think that Safanov is supportive of him. A goalkeeper that is not supportive of Luis Enrique at the moment is obviously Gianluigi Donnarumma. I don't think he's supportive of Luis Enrique this season. I don't know if it's about the playstyle or not, but obviously when it comes to giving Safanov those minutes and everything, I do think Donna is a bit unhappy. Next up, Colomani, obviously, he's extremely unhappy. He would be probably the most unhappiest player with Luis Enrique, how he has, prevented him from playing football this season and not giving him any chances at all and pretty much banishing him from the squad, basically putting him in the loft. But he's still there with the squad. He just doesn't play in the game. So Colomani is definitely unhappy. João Neves, I think João Neves is, at least for the moment, supportive. He just joined the club, has had a very great start, has been tried out in many different positions. And he's young as well, has a great mentality. So I don't think João Neves is one of the anti-Lucho people at the club. I do think Arnau Tenas is anti-Lucho. I don't think he has any personality in that locker room, but he wanted the loan last season. He was supposed to get loaned. Campos had already was trying to fix a loan deal for him, but then Lucho decided to keep him, and Tenas hasn't featured for a single minute this season. So Tenas definitely unhappy about Luis Enrique. Gonçalo Ramos, I'm going to put him in NA. He hasn't really been, part of the squad this season, so I don't really know about his opinion about how PSG are playing this season. Zag doesn't really matter, but he's also someone that's unhappy about Lucho. We can put him here, but I don't think his opinion matters at all. Marco Asensio, I think Marco Asensio is supportive. I think ever since his move from Real Madrid to Paris Saint-Germain, he's been happy with the opportunities and starting minutes he's gotten from Luis Enrique constantly. So I think he's happy with him. Fabio Ruiz, another player that is unhappy about Luis Enrique. This obviously stems from the Spanish national team when he got snubbed from the 22 World Cup squad. So, that rift between them has always existed, and we see it sometimes this season, on the pitch. Lucas Hernandez, I'm going to put NA again, hasn't been part of this season. I'm going to move Zag down as well, and then Baye on NA. Their opinion really doesn't matter. We can put Mayulu there as well. So now we're left with these players. I want to put in NA, but I'm going to put him a bit unhappy. I think when it comes to the restrictions, everything that's being said for the attackers, that obviously affects Due. But it's also that Due, Lucho says, I see Due as a midfielder, but then he's played him in every single position apart from midfielder, obviously, in the most recent Ligue 1 game, apart from the non-game. So I'm going to still put Due as unhappy. Pacho, again, NA, just signed, nothing new. Could potentially even be supportive of Lucho. Now, he's probably supportive, especially with the minutes he's gotten. Now we're left with these. Again, Kangili is an attacker, so he could potentially be someone that's complaining, but he's having a better season than last season. So I could see Kangili being supportive from to Lucho. Then we have Beraldo, Marquinhos, Nuno Mendes. Nuno Mendes, obviously, he could be unhappy, especially with the role he's been playing under Luis Enrique. But obviously, most recently, has been pushing up a lot. So I'm going to put Nuno in NA. Vitinha recently had the presser, like an interview, talked a lot of positive stuff about Lucho, but he could be lying. Who knows? But I'm going to put Vitinha as supportive. Marquinhos should be complaining, man. He's the captain of this team. I don't know, man. Beraldo, I do think Beraldo's unhappy. He's been played out of position this entire season. Marquinhos, I'm going to put as supportive. So basically, here's the list of why I think these are the unhappy players with Lucho. These are the players that really don't have an opinion. And these are, the supportive players of Lucho. So Luis Enrique is basically steadily, second by second, losing the Paris Saint-Germain dressing room. And this is not good. It's pretty much the beginning of the end. Lucho has to overturn. He has to win the locker room over, I don't know, with a speech, or most realistically, doing the adjustments that everyone is calling for. This is not Mbappe calling for a pivot gang. This is not one player looking selfishly at what he can do. This is the half of the team combining with Dembele as their free speech hero to basically tell Lucho, you don't know what you're doing. Thing is, Lucho's stubborn, so he's not going to listen to the players, and their opinion really doesn't matter to Luis Enrique. The players are just voicing us fans as well, because this is the exact same stuff me and many PSG fans have been complaining about. We look predictable, we look sterile, we just don't look good whenever we play football. And it's not like Luis Enrique is not playing the game back. With obviously this press conference, the match gave me a lot of information about the players who are coming in the future. And then this report, Luis Enrique would complain in private about his squad being considered too weak. So, first of all, Luis Enrique stubbornly went into the season without replacing Mbappe and without buying the necessary positions, okay? Because Luis Enrique towards the end of the summer said he was happy, he was content with his squad. He said that, publicly. The reports backed that up as well. The main issue was that was not the planning ahead of last summer transfer window. Ahead of last summer transfer window, we wanted to sign a 9. We wanted to sign a left winger. We even looked into a right winger. Strictly for the attack now we're speaking. Even a right-footed centre-back and a left-back. So all the position we're going for now in January. And now Lucho is complaining? In the summer, he should have been complaining. When everyone saw it, he didn't see it, and now he's complaining, putting the players on the bus, taking zero accountability and responsibility for his shitty tactics. So Luis Enrique isn't even a victim in this situation. You can't even say, oh, the players are immature, they should listen to their manager, he knows the best. Well, Lucho is doing the same. He's blaming our performances strictly on our players and not saying anything about his tactics. So I want to be positive. I want to say, this situation could be fixed, but I do not think so, because at the moment, the players don't like what Lucho's doing, and Lucho doesn't want to do what they're doing. Someone has to come to the middle. Lucho would not do it. It's too many players now, and it's been too long. I don't think the players will do it. So we're basically in a situation where the situation will just continue to get worse. Lucho will keep on losing the dressing room with already two of the biggest personalities in Kimpembe and Dembele being very vocal against Luis Enrique. I'm very scared. This is the beginning of the end of. I'm actually happy. I want Luis Enrique out, but you never want it to end in a way like this. I mean, I would say in some way it's a bit similar to Tuchel's. End at PSG, started losing the dressing room. Obviously had the feud with the sporting director. We know Lucho most probably has a great relationship with Campos, so it will strictly be between him and the players. But I hope this works out between the players and the manager. But like these reports, we've just been getting them 1 month here, 1 month there, 1 month there. And first it was just Jamil reporting, who's very reliable. Then Tanzi came out, who's also reliable. So we're in a very, very sticky situation at the moment. And hopefully somehow it resolves by Lucho getting sacked. That's been it for my boy PSG. Let me know in the comments down below, who do you guys think is anti-Lucho at Paris Saint-Germain? A free fighter standing for the standard of this club and the standard of just playing football. That's been it for my boy PSG. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. And as usual, allez Paris.